Hello, it's Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And the women that I want to talk about today are definitely women that I do not agree with. And I'm talking about these black women that got the wake-up call going into a MAGA chat. I guess you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, trust and believe, it is cringe-worthy. I don't know why black people do it. And there are people who like to say, well, they're not LPA, they're not ADOS, they're foreign blacks. Well, I know deep down in my heart that there are black American people who are descendants of slavery who would do something this cringeworthy. So I'm not so quick to blame this on black immigrants. But anyway, listen to this.
Black Trump supporters kicked out of a MAGA online chat. Let's take a look.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're just introducing ourselves. The MAGA people got to stick together. It's one country, one flag. So that's
No. Don't talk about MAGA people, but
the American
that was a
people.
shibby-do.
The American people. But
Hold on. Listen, Tropic, you are my co-speaker. You can say whatever you want, but don't you ever tell me like I'm Chase, right?
okay.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true? Hashtag black and
Black Chicago for Trump.
Miss
That's
Trav.
what it says. Hashtag Black
Yeah.
Chicago for Trump.
So who's Tropic? Do you know Tropic?
Tropic?
Yeah.
I'm new to this whole Twitter space.
What brought you into space?
I told you I saw my friend was in here and it showed up at the top of my screen.
And so who's your friend?
Miss Trevian.
Who's your friend?
Miss Trevian.
Okay. So Miss Trevian, what brought her in here?
You gotta ask her.
You?
Mr. Tropic sent me a DM and said that he was going to be in a space.
Mr. Tropic, I say next time, don't ever bring these people in here.
Oh.
I don't want to talk to them.
Chase,
Radio
show. I don't have to be in here with you. I was just trying to make
but no. So
listen,
T-Ray,
pay
attention
Mr.
to
Tropic.
this.
I don't
pay
listen,
attention to this because this is so unnecessary.
Let Mr.
And
Tropic.
he will regret this situation. Thank you for having us. And
listen, slow it down.
Goodbye. We don't have to be here with you.
Goodbye.
I have a national radio show.
Goodbye.
Enjoy your room. Thank you, Tropic, for following. Ciao.
So this is what some black people are willing to do to get into white spaces. Now this is a MAGA live stream of mostly white men, it appears. So these two black women show up and one of them comes into the chat talking. And the guy was not even receptive. And she didn't even pick up on the energy at first. And he had to point blank tell her that you don't tell me who I am and don't tell me who I am. Because I guess she was about to say, like, we're all Americans or whatever. And he said, don't you ever tell me. This is the kind of arrogance that you see with white people who don't have any power, but they get into a little place where they can, appear to have power, like in a chat room. Well, he's the host. It's his chat room. So he ought to invite people in. So they came in based on what somebody else said, that they thought they would be welcomed, and they were not. And so you got to get the smackdown from the person, and then hear him tell the other person, don't ever invite these people into my chat, or something like that, he said. And he called her chocolate. Now, I don't know where that came from. I don't know if she calls herself that on some platform, but that to me was equivalent to him calling her the N-word. And another thing I got from it is that she said they were black Chicagoans for Trump. And that brought me back to my childhood, when kids whose families had moved from the South into the Midwest, the Northeast, some other part of the country, they would come back to the South, trying to make us think that we were so backwards because the South was segregated. And we thought that wherever they came from, they were very integrated into white society, only to grow up and learn they are more segregated than we were in the South. So these are black people who are totally clueless about how white supremacy works. I'm not sure that they're so clueless, but they want to ignore it because they want to mix and mingle with these white people. These are swirlers and divestors who will quickly do this kind of stuff. Because if you've been around white people long enough, you know that they have several faces for black people. They act one way when they're just you and them, and they act another way when it's a bunch of them and you. They're one way when they want you to do something for them, and they're another way when you want them to do something for you. So as you grow up, you learn what to do and not to do around white people. And most of all, you learn how to discern which ones are what. Because all white people are not like that. All white people wouldn't do that. But who's most likely going to do it is going to be somebody with a red MAGA hat on. And you ought to be able to pick up on that energy as a black person. To me, this is unnecessary, but black people who put themselves out like that, I'm not going to say they get what they deserve. I'm saying they ought to expect what they get. And you ought to be surprised when you don't get that. Because when white people put on their red cap and say, "Make America great again," they don't usually mean for white people and black people. They mostly mean make America great again for white people. And great again means make it back where white people can do whatever they want to, especially to black people. White people are mad and white men are mad. They see all these white women with these black men. They see black men taking over the sports industry, the music industry, the political industry, not taking over the political industry, but very involved and engaged in the political industry. They see black people living well. They don't like that. Down here in the South, they have these so-called middle-class neighborhoods. Black people have taken over a lot of these neighborhoods. They really have. And then there are just black middle-class neighborhoods. And see, I know how it is when you start talking about finances and money. Somebody's going to come in and say, black people only have $8 in the bank. Well, that might be true for some, but that's not true for all. And black people are becoming better educated. Black people are developing skills that nobody ever thought black people would develop. And black people are talking about critical race theory, how the interests of white Americans were advanced at the expense of others, primarily indigenous people and black people. Now, if you're talking to a white person and you can't talk about critical race theory, you can't talk about reparations, you can't talk about mass incarceration, if you can't bring that conversation up, you don't need to be in those people's space. The best that you can do with white people is to be in the presence of white people who will at least acknowledge critical race theory, mass incarceration, how detrimental slavery was to black people, even in this modern age, and reparations. If they're not willing to entertain those conversations with you, or if they're going to get their backs up and become hostile towards you when you bring those subjects up, you don't need to be in those people's spaces. Well, let's put it like this. If you are in their space and you bring those things up, you most likely will get kicked out, just like those two women did. And I think sometimes these women look at Candace Owens, Diamond and Silk, and some of these other so-called black Republican women, and maybe they want to be the next black woman Republican star. And the cardinal rule of dealing with white people, especially if you want to be in close proximity to them, The cardinal sin that black people continue to commit is bringing themselves into the white people's spaces without being invited. You have to be invited in their space. And they are very good about letting you know who they want in their space and who they don't want in their space. So if you go trugging up in there, well, then you're going to be the one that's not only embarrassed in some cases, they might be, they might be down at the Gulf of Mexico looking for your body. You do have to have good sense. Things haven't changed that much. So these women decided to crash into somebody else's chat. And then gonna come in and start talking about, we're all MAGA, we're all in it together, something like that she was saying. She really meant what she was saying. So she has not been around enough white people. That's all I can say. Maybe she was brought up in the inner city and had this fantasy about white people being so nice because she was never around any. But she has not been around enough white people, because if she was around enough of them, she would know that you have to tread lightly and carefully around white people. So let's hope these two women learn their lesson about crashing into spaces uninvited. And not only them, but anybody who has seen this video and heard this conversation will understand that you need to be discerning yourself and you need to be invited into spaces, especially among people that you don't know. Okay, y'all. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.